Hi, Jamie John here with the new Fractal FX8 as well as the Mini Amp Gizmo. I'll be running a wet-dry wet rig with the ART SLA1 through the Mesa Boogie Mark V head. Also running Fractal Audio's FX8 Edit. RJM Music creates these switchers. This one has 8 functions. They will sell you a cable to attach to your amp, a specific to your amp cable for switching, as well as you'll need the MIDI cable to attach to the FX8. When you receive your Mini Amp Gizmo, they should send you a page indicating exactly what it will do to your specific amp. So in my case here, the switches 1, 2, and 3 are channel select. Switch 4 is EQ, switch 5 is loop, switch 6 is solo, switch 7 tuner mute, switch 8 reverb. What you have to do upon powering it up is remove the power plug from the amp gizmo. It's not actually, connected, but hold the switch 8 button while reconnecting the power plug. Keep holding the button until the LEDs flash and stay on steadily. Then you just press switch 3. What this does is it just prevents the first 3 switches from being put on altogether. So if you press channel 1, only 1 will work, and 2, only 2 will work, and 3, only 3 will work. After that, all the others can be lit up depending on the functions you want on at the time. So in connecting all this, I'll just show you kind of what I did. So I have this program, or I guess preset, called Thinking of You, where scene 1 will have a chorus, a delay, reverb, enhance. I also want the channel of my amp to be clean. So clean channel would be number 1. When selecting number 2, you can see that it switched over to number 3, the Mesa Boogie Mark IV setting, essentially. When going to number 3, I've got the crunch channel on channel 2 that gets selected. So for every scene, I can have a different amp setting. So when I go to channel, let's say 4 here, and I want to program the Mini Amp Gizmo into it, there is a tab here called MIDI PCs. So if you just click on it, you will see down below that I chose scene 1 to have channel 1, so I called it channel 1. I could have called it 0, could have called it 127, but it makes sense to me just to call it channel 1, channel 3 in scene 2, channel 2, the crunch channel, in scene 3. So in scene 4, I'll call it 0. And I'll program it in here. Essentially, I want channel 3, but I want also the solo boost button, which is button number 6, is what's indicated on that paper. Now to program that in on the Mini Amp Gizmo, all you have to do is press the right button. It'll blink and then shut off. After that, going back to this screen, all I have to do is press the save button. And preset saved. So going back to the FX8 relays, if I go to scene 1, should have, all those 4 in the bottom. Scene 2 should just have the chorus. Scene 3 should have, also with scene 3, I still have this delay, but there are 2 settings, an X and a Y. So as indicated on here, the yellow button on scene 6 is lit up. So it gives me a slightly different delay so it doesn't repeat forever on a distorted sound. I want it a little more prominent on the clean sound, but switched it to the Y setting for the distorted sound. So the same thing, I'll switch all those as I just did, and I'll show you the amp switcher. So on scene 1, I get channel 1. On scene 2, I get channel 3. On scene 3, I wanted channel 2. On scene 4, I wanted channel 3 and the solo boost, number 6. So that every time I will switch, whether I switch on my computer or just choose to switch here, everything will switch. So again, I'll switch here, channel 1, channel 3, channel 2, this one channel 3 as well as the solo boost. So it's as simple as that to program it in. Just go to MIDI PCs, and down below you'll see that you can just as easily program your Mini Amp Gizmo per scene that you've created for your song. In this case, a song called Thinking of You. So back to the FX8. I'm running a wet, dry, wet rig that I've messed with for the first time. It sounds glorious. So what happens here is I've got essentially my main cable heading to my guitar, a humbuster cable, which is tip sleeve to tip ring sleeve heading to the amp, and then after that, which is the front of the Mesa Boogie Mark V, after that I've got 2 outs heading to the Art SLA1. Now the Art SLA1 I've got here, and these are my settings. I've got it, you know, not all the way up obviously, but fairly loud for maybe club gigging. So what happens here is that the output of the Fractal audio heads to the input of the Art SLA. Essentially, going back, the Mesa Boogie Mark V will have its slave sent out. The slave I've got set maybe at 10, 11 o'clock. That gets sent out to the input of the FX8, where then 2 outputs get sent to the Art SLA and power up this speaker cabinet as well as a speaker I have on the combo here. And that's essentially it. Running a wet dry rig. What happens with the slave from the Mesa Boogie Mark V is that you're also having the sound of your power amp with the preamp. So unlike most wet dry wet rigs that just send the sound from the effects loop out, essentially the preamp, if you were powering up the wet rig, you might want a tube amp. But in this case, the tube power amp sound does get used from the Mesa Boogie Mark V. So you're still creating a tube sound. So even though the Art SLA is solid state, it still provides a fantastic sound because the tube sound from the Mesa Boogie Mark V is still coming out. So that's essentially how I hooked up and run my rig. Thanks. Bye.